Hey guys, how you doing? It's Andy. So for this week's episode, we have something different than other weeks. We don't have a Would You Rather or silly game or anything like that. We have an interview with HYRO the Hero. A few weeks ago, we had asked HYRO to come on our show. I think maybe 2 days before HYRO was scheduled to be on the show, George Floyd was murdered in Minneapolis by a police officer. And there was, this was early on in the process of people kind of figuring out what was happening. And when we had recorded this episode, I believe it was before a lot of the large scale protesting had started, but there was certainly awareness of the issue, and people were in the streets. They were showing their anger, and it just felt like, given that we had a guest on who is a black man in America who writes politically motivated songs and writes songs about police brutality, we would be remiss if we did not mention what had been happening in the world. So this episode is an interview with HYRO, taken from the full-length episode that we have on our Patreon. If you're a patron, you can see that. But we felt that it was important this week to highlight this section of the interview. We're going to pass it to HYRO, who's going to do a little intro video for the interview, and then there's about 10 minutes of interview. So thanks for watching this. Thank you to HYRO for coming on the show, and we will see you guys next week.
Yo, what's up? This is HYRO the Hero on the Andy Show. And before we get into the interview, I just want to give a major shout out to everybody showing love, the whole Black Lives Matter movement. You know, when we recorded this, we were first kind of getting the news of the George Floyd situation. But since then, we've seen the protests, you know, people speaking up, all, you know, companies showing their support, the whole music industry blacking out on them. So it's a major event that kind of took over the world, you know. So R.I.P. George Floyd, H-Town representative. Thank everyone for their love, especially, and a big shout out to this community, the rock community. They show, everyone has been so amazing, man. You know, it's just all about being together, and music brings us all together. So with that being said, let's get into the interview. Yeah. The music is always the background to all of this stuff right here. You know, it could help your mood, it changes, you know what I'm saying, make you feel better, things like that. And we don't really have no outlet during this quarantine for people to have an outlet to express themselves. So I think that's where a lot of that anger and the riot and stuff come from as well too. They letting out a bunch of stuff. So
Right,
you know that with what they did, and then you being locked up in your house and you can't move around.
Right.
This is everybody just let fucking loose. You get what I'm saying? So that's crazy. Like it keeps me sane. The music, chilling and stuff keeps me sane. But I'm a person, like, you know, my music, I speak about all these things in my music.
Yes,
but what bothers me is, like, I don't have all the ears yet. You get what I'm saying? Well, I can really speak to the people in that way. So when it comes to these crazy times like this, and people hit me up, because on social media, I don't really like posting about the stuff, because like you see the picture of the dude with the knee on his neck. Right. I just gotta see it once. I don't need to see it posted all over the fucking place for the whole world to see. You know, he got a family, bro. They don't want to see that shit all day long. So that bothers me, you know what I'm saying? And then I got like my music, like Bullet, the song I made, Bullet, that was a hit, was about police brutality, and that was 2 years ago, bro. Right. And it's still going
Nothing's
on.
Changed. Yeah.
Ain't nothing changed. So that's why when people text me, it's like, what can I do? What can I say about it? You know what I'm saying? There's nothing. It's right in your face. Like I said, the only thing I can say as a community, as a black community, is we have to come together as a people, you know what I'm saying? Because we have too many different ideas of how to handle things, you know what I'm saying? Like, one person want to riot, the next, you know, you going off emotion, the next person, you know what I'm saying? We got to come together as one and find a solution as a people, you get what I'm saying? Because it's not just white people, it's certain bad police officers who do a lot of fucked up things, you get what I'm saying? There's good cops, there's bad cops, the same way, you know what I'm saying?
The thing about the good cops is, like,
they need to say something.
They need to say something. Like, you could be a good cop to the public, but you're not being thoroughly good enough by not, responding to the cops that are bad that you know about.
Well, I mean, that video, that gave you the whole rundown right there. It was 3-4 cops standing around that didn't do shit.
Not doing a damn
thing. They got each other back.
Yeah,
I can only speak from the place of being a white man in this country.
Exactly.
White people should see that shit. You know what I mean? There's a place. There's an amount of privilege that we have of being able to say, and many people say this. Oh, I don't want to see that kind of news. I don't want to have to. You know what? I just,
And that is why there's constant videos of this. It's not just this video. This has existed for so
that's
long.
What gets, because I get where you're coming from, but I'm also like the militant black brother. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And my militant mind would like to see a picture that shows you fighting against the cops in a powerful position, instead of circulating the opposite every time. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're totally right.
Like when the hands up movement was going on, it's like, his hands up, you know, it's like, do this instead. You know, that's where I come from with it. But you know, it's just like, way you do it is, you know what I'm saying, it has to be, it doesn't have to be this whole thing of burning your own community and doing it. It's like, what's the end game? And then within the protests, like, I'm getting deeper, within these protests, you have agents inside these protests who throw the first brick, who start the first fire. You got, you know, so you got other people that come in with agendas who just hate the government. So they don't even care about the situation. They just want chaos. You get what I'm saying? So that's why everything has to be strategized in a certain way. When you act out like how they acting out is rightfully so, but it just needs to be a strategy to that acting out. And if you see somebody start off some crazy stuff, everybody got to get at them. Like, that's not how we gonna operate. We want this man in jail for murder, and that's the goal. Yeah, but I mean, you know, my thing is, like, when people hit me up, you know, it's okay. We talk about it now. What's gonna happen next week?
Right.
People move on from shit, and then next week y'all done the whole world talking about it. Next week, are y'all gonna forget about it? And then these people still live in this situation in a pandemic. Y'all burn down the Target, you burn down the AutoZone, your grocery supply, your police department. They left with the effects of that when everybody else move on. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what gets me in this era.
I think it's one thing for the mayor or the governor or whoever else to get involved and say, like, okay, we're finally going to prosecute this one police officer or whatever. Like, that guy has a 15-year history of shooting people, and he's done like 5 or 6 people that he's shot just without actually charging them. And there's definitely records of all these people that have this stuff in their history that most organizations now have the time to say, like, all right, everybody who's got 10 violence complaints against them, you're on probation as a cop, and you got to either do some training or whatever, or not. You just don't get to be a cop anymore.
Yeah, I was looking at the statistics. We kind of give the cops so much power because they got the weapons.
Right.
But, you know, in the United States, there's only 800,000 police officers compared to 30-something million people in
most
America.
of the power that they have comes from the fact that they're not going to get prosecuted for being violent.
They're not going to get prosecuted. So, but when you look at the numbers, it's like, we got so much. We shouldn't be letting these things happen. You get what I'm saying? For so long. This has been going on, like I told people, bro, this has been going on, especially with black and white relations and the cops, since fucking, slavery, 40, 50 years. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Tupac,
Emmett Till.
Farrakhan, Emmett Till. How much times is this going to happen to where we don't sit back and like, okay, we need to actually, there's got to be some kind of consequence to this shit. And I ain't saying violence, but maybe economically, money-wise, you stop the pockets. You get what I'm saying?
Well, they just need to go to jail. There needs to be consequences for this, you know, and not being acquitted, which is what oftentimes happens.
Yeah, but this ain't my favorite solution, but out of 800,000 cops, 13% of the cops are black people. You know what I'm saying? 70-something% are white. Maybe we need more black cops to come up in there to change the structure of the situation. You know what I'm saying? There's all kind of things we could do, but when we hear the news, we get to acting out emotional and going crazy. You get what I'm saying? And the news choose to show us a lot of shit sometimes. You get what I'm saying? My mind go crazy with this shit. It all turned into music.